Good morning, class. This will be our first topic for your semifinals in organic, medicinal, and pharmaceutical chemistry. Our topic would be the elements of the periodic table, particularly their pharmacologic uses and the important compounds of each element. So we will start with Group 1A. Your Group 1A is also known as your alkali metals. So this group is the most reactive metals which has a valence of 1. So this group is the most reactive metals and has a valence of 1. So we will start with the element of hydrogen. Hydrogen is also known as your inflammable air, and it is the lightest and most reactive element. It has 3 isotopes, which is first would be the protium, which is the most abundant, your deuterium, which is also known as your heavy hydrogen or your heavy water, and lastly is your tritium, which is the radioactive isotope. Okay. Under your hydrogen, we will deal with the hardness of water. Hardness of water, it has 2 types. First is the temporary hardness of water. This is hydrogen in combination with calcium and or magnesium bicarbonates, and your hydrogen is separated from this carbonates through boiling and addition of hydroxide source. So I repeat, for your temporary hardness of water, hydrogen is separated from calcium or magnesium bicarbonates through boiling or addition of hydroxide source. So the next type would be the permanent hardness of water. Hydrogen in combination with sulfates, chlorides, or hydroxides of calcium or magnesium. From the word permanent hardness, your hydrogen cannot be separated from these salts of sulfates, chlorides, or hydroxides of calcium or magnesium, as compared to your temporary hardness of water. Also, under your hydrogen are the official solutions. First would be the water USP. Water USP, or it is known as the official solution of tincture and extracts. Your water USP is the official solution of tinctures and extracts. Next is the purified water. Purified water. Your purified water USP is used for the extemporaneous compounding test reagents. Extemporaneous compounding test reagents. Next would be the water for injection. Water for injection. It is the solvent used for parenterals. And it must pass the pyrogen test. So your water for injection must pass the pyrogen test in order for it to be a solvent for parenterals. Next is the sterile water for injection. Sterile water for injection, it is used for the extemporaneous compounding of parenterals. So, if your purified water is used for the extemporaneous compounding of test reagents, your sterile water for injection is used for the extemporaneous compounding of parenterals. Okay. Next element would be the lithium. Lithium. Your lithium is also known as earth. Your lithium is also known as earth, and it is the lightest metal. So take note, if your hydrogen is the lightest element, your lithium is the lightest metal. Okay. Generally, your lithium is used as depressant and diuretic. So, all important compounds of your lithium is primarily used as depressant and diuretics, and your lithium has a main side effect, which is hyponatremia. So the main side effect of any compound of lithium would be hyponatremia. So for pharmacologic action, your lithium is used as depressant and diuretic with the side effects of hyponatremia or low level of sodium in the blood, that is your hyponatremia. And for non-pharmacologic action of your lithium would be heat exchanger in aircon. Heat exchanger in aircon. And there are two important compounds under your lithium, which is your lithium bromide, which is used as a depressant. Your lithium bromide is used as a depressant, and your lithium carbonate, generic name ay brand name Lithase or Escalith. Lithase or Escalith. Those are the brand names of your lithium carbonate. It is used as a drug of choice for mania, which is characteristics of a bipolar disorder. Okay. There are characteristics of your lithium toxicity. Characteristics of your lithium toxicity. Take this down. First is the main side effect of lithium compounds is your hyponatremia. Next would be the tremor. Third, nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Hypothyroidism and teratogenic problems. Teratogenic problems. I repeat, hyponatremia, tremor, nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, hypothyroidism, and teratogenic problems. Under your lithium carbonate for the DOC for mania, your mania here has characteristics of mania. First, decreased need for sleep, talkativeness or pressured speech, irresponsibility, distractibility, flight of ideas, increase in goal-directed activity. Those are the characteristics of mania or even bipolar disorder. So your lithium is mainly used for the treatment of depression and manic disorder. Okay. Next element would be the sodium. Your sodium is also known as your natrium. Sodium is also known as your natrium, and it is the primary extracellular fluid cation. Primary extracellular fluid cation, meaning positive charge. So, and its main mechanism of action is fluid retention. Main mechanism of action is fluid retention. So, under your sodium, let us deal with your sodium acetate. Sodium acetate. So, your sodium acetate is also known as your acetate of soda. Acetate of soda. And pharmacologically, your sodium acetate is used as diuretic, urinary and systemic alkalizer, and antacid. Okay? Diuretic, urinary and systemic alkalizer, and antacid. Next is your sodium bicarbonate. Your sodium bicarbonate is commonly known as your baking soda, or soda acid, or soda saleratus, soda acid, or your baking soda. So primarily, your sodium bicarbonate is used as a systemic antacid and pharmaceutically used as carbonating agent. So pharmacologically, your sodium bicarbonate is used as a systemic antacid. Pharmaceutically, it is used as a carbonating agent. Side effects of your sodium bicarbonate: first is alkalosis or systemic alkalosis, rebound hyperacidity, and edema. So these are the 3 side effects of your sodium bicarbonate: systemic alkalosis, rebound hyperacidity, and edema. Okay. Next is your sodium dihydrogen phosphate. Sodium dihydrogen phosphate, or it is also known as your fleet enema. And it is pharmacologically used as cathartic and as a source of phosphorus or phosphate. So your dihydrogen phosphate is a source of your phosphorus and or phosphate. Also, it is used as a urinary antiseptic. Okay. Next would be sodium metabisulfite. And it is used as it is also known as leucogen. So your sodium metabisulfite is also known as your leucogen, and primarily it is used as a water-soluble antioxidant. So it is a water-soluble antioxidant. Next compound is your sodium carbonate. It is also known as your soda ash, washing soda, sal soda, and soda ash. So primarily, your sodium carbonate has the same pharmacologic use as to your bicarbonate, as a systemic antacid, and pharmaceutically as a carbonating agent. So they have the same mechanism of action as to your sodium bicarbonate. Okay. Next compound is your sodium chloride. Your sodium chloride is your table salt, solar salt, or rock salt. Table salt, solar salt, and your rock salt. So it is used as an electrolyte replenisher, tonicity adjuster, and preservative. Electrolyte replenisher, tonicity adjuster, condiments, and preservative. Sodium citrate. Your sodium citrate, it is used primarily as alkalizer, buffer, diuretic, expectorant, and also parenterally it shortens the coagulation time. Next is your sodium fluoride. Your sodium fluoride is used as anti-cardiogenic. 2% solution of your sodium fluoride is used as anti-cardiogenic for the treatment of tooth decay. Sodium hydroxide. Your sodium hydroxide is also known as your caustic soda, sosa, or lye. Caustic soda, sosa, or lye. And it is used as a component for hard soap and used as a saponifying agent. It is one of the component of hard soap and is used as saponifying agent. Next compound is your sodium phosphite. Sodium phosphite, it is primarily used as a reducing agent. So your sodium phosphite is primarily used as a reducing agent. Next compound is your sodium hypochlorite. Sodium hypochlorite, which is also known as your Dawkins solution, and Clorox. So it is used as an oxidizing agent, bleaching agent, and disinfectant. So your sodium hypochlorite is a component of your Labarox solution. It is a component of your Labarox solution which is used as a disinfectant. Okay, sodium iodide. So sodium iodide is generally, all iodides are for the treatment of cough. All iodides are used for the treatment of cough, primarily as expectorant. And so your sodium iodide is used as an expectorant, antifungal, and iodine solubilizer. Next compound is your sodium lactate. Your sodium lactate has 3 molecules of sodium, 3 molecules of carbon, 5 molecules of hydrogen, and 3 molecules of oxygen. So, when you write that, that is Na3C3H5O3. Na3C3H5O3, and your sodium lactate is primarily used as antacid and diuretic. Okay, moving on for your sodium nitrate. Sodium nitrate is also known as your Chile saltpeter. Your sodium nitrate is also known as your Chile saltpeter and primarily used as a vasodilator and in combination with your sodium thiosulfate. Your sodium thiosulfate plus your sodium nitrate is used for the treatment of cyanide poisoning. So your sodium nitrate plus your sodium thiosulfate is used for the treatment of cyanide poisoning. Sodium sulfate. Next compound is your sodium sulfate, which is also known as your Glober's salt. So primarily, it is used as a cathartic. Sodium sulfate is used as a cathartic. Next, sodium tartrate. Your sodium tartrate, which has a chemical name of C4H4O6, C4H406, C4H4O6. It is used for the as a primary standard for Carl Fisher reagent for water content determination. So your sodium tartrate is used as a primary standard for Carl Fisher reagent for water content determination. Next, sodium thiocyanate. So your sodium thiocyanate is used as a hypotensive agent and as a vasodilator. Your thiocyanate is used as hypotensive agent and as a vasodilator. Last compound of your sodium is your sodium thiosulfate. Your sodium thiosulfate, which is also known as your hypochlor, photographer's hypo, and antichlor. Antichlor, photographer's hypo. So in combination with your sodium nitrate, your sodium thiosulfate is used for the treatment of your cyanide poisoning. And it is used in the solution of iodometry and permanganometry. So next, moving on to our next element, which is your potassium. Your potassium is known as kalium, and it is the most abundant and predominant intracellular cation. It is the most abundant and predominant intracellular cation. So your sodium, take note, your sodium is the primary extracellular fluid cation. Your potassium is the most abundant and predominant intracellular cation. Your deficiency of potassium or lack of potassium is known as your hypokalemia, and it has a manifestation of known as your Barker's syndrome, which is known for muscle paralysis. So I repeat, your potassium has a deficiency known as your hypokalemia, and it has a manifestation of Barker's syndrome, which is known as your muscle paralysis. The pharmacologic action of your potassium is mainly as diuretic, and it is important in muscle construction. So, let's go to the important compounds of your potassium. First is your potassium acetate. Your potassium acetate is also known as your diuretic salts. Your potassium acetate is also known as your diuretic salts, and it is used primarily as an antacid, diuretic, urinary, and systemic alkalizer. I repeat, diuretic, antacid, urinary, and systemic alkalizer. Next compound is your potassium bicarbonate. Potassium bicarbonate. It is also known as your potassium acid carbonate and saleratus. I repeat, your potassium bicarbonate is also known as your potassium acid carbonate or saleratus. It is used primarily as systemic antacid, carbonating agent, and as a source of bicarbonate. It is used as systemic antacid, carbonating agent, and as a source of bicarbonate ion. Next is your potassium bitartrate. Potassium bitartrate, or also known as your cream of tartar or cremor or argol. Cream of tartar, cremor, or argol. And it is used as a laxative. Potassium bromide. Your potassium bromide is mainly used as depressant. Your potassium bromide is used for the treatment of depression. Next compound is your potassium carbonate. Potassium carbonate. Your potassium carbonate is also known as potash, salt of bitter, and pearlash. So if your sodium nitrate is known as a Chile saltpeter, your potassium carbonate is known as salt of peter. Your sodium nitrate is Chile saltpeter. Your potassium carbonate is your salt of peter. And it is used primarily as antacid, carbonating agent, and as a source of carbonate ion. Next, potassium chlorate. Potassium chlorate is primarily used as an oxidizing agent and as a component in toothpaste, gargle, and mouthwash. So it is mainly used as oxidizing agent and as a component in toothpaste, gargle, and mouthwash. Next compound is your potassium chloride. Potassium chloride, which is also known as your kalium chloratum, or kali-chloridum. Kalium chloratum or kali-chloridum, and mainly used as electrolyte replenisher. Potassium citrate. Potassium citrate is mainly used as diuretic, expectorant, and diaphoretic. Next would be potassium hydroxide. Your potassium hydroxide is known as your caustic potash, lye potash, and potassa. Caustic potash, lye potash, and potassa, and it is used as a component of soft soap, and as a saponifying agent. So take note again, your sodium hydroxide is a component of your hard soap and also as a saponifying agent, whereas your potassium hydroxide is a component of your soft soap and as a saponifying agent. Next is potassium iodide. Potassium iodide, so mainly it is used as expectorant, antifungal, and iodine solubilizer. They have the same action as to your sodium iodide. Your sodium iodide and your potassium iodide is used as expectorant, antifungal, and iodine solubilizer. Your potassium iodide is known as your kalium jodatum. Kalium jodatum. Next would be potassium nitrate. Potassium nitrate. It is known as your saltpeter, salitre, niter, saltprunel. Saltpeter, salitre, saltprunel, and niter. And it is used as an oxidizing agent, antiseptic, and a solution in permanganatometry. Your potassium nitrate is used as a diuretic and meat preservative pala. Diuretic or meat preservative. Your potassium permanganate is known as your mineral chameleon, and it is used as an oxidizing agent, antiseptic, and VS in permanganometry. I repeat, oxidizing agent, antiseptic, and VS in permanganometry. So, your permanganate your oxalic acid removes the stain of your permanganate. Your oxalic acid removes the stains of your permanganate. Next compound is your potassium dihydrogen phosphate, and it is used as a cathartic. Your potassium dihydrogen phosphate is used as a cathartic. Next is your potassium sodium tartrate. Potassium sodium tartrate, which is known as your Rochelle salt or salt cyanate. Your potassium sodium tartrate is known as your Rochelle salt or your salt cyanate, and primarily it is used as a cathartic or sequestering agent. And lastly, your potassium thiocyanate. Potassium thiocyanate is primarily used as a hypotensive agent. And the last chemical compound here, which is your K2SX K2S2O3, is also known as your sulfurated potash or liver of sulfur. Sulfurated potash or liver of sulfur. Kindly research for the chemical name of that chemical compound.